You've probably seen the headlines, bigger refunds coming in 2026 for 2025 tax returns. But before you mentally spend that extra cash, let's break down what's actually happening. Spoiler, it's not as exciting as it sounds. And for some business owners, it might even be disappointing. In this episode, we'll talk about what's driving the refund rumors, why the reality is more complicated, and what you should be doing instead of banking on a big check from the IRS. Welcome to Unfiltered Profit. We're excited to dive into this episode with you because we love setting all the online nonsense about taxes straight in a sassy way. So let's dive in, Caitlin. Let's set the stage. Why is there all this talk about big tax refunds with the 2025 filing season?
See, I'd love to say, great question, because this was not on our marketing plan of what we were going to talk about today.
No.
But I watched the news and I was like, why are we talking about this? So the big reason is the new tax bill, right? That we got back last year that you've heard us talk over and over and over about. We're going to talk some more today. So because of the laws that changed, somehow, while we are not political in this discussion, this has become political. And in order to call the bill a success, they have to say that everyone will be getting more money back. So yay, good things happened because of this tax bill. And the biggest way to equate that, I think, in the average taxpayer mind is to say, you're going to get lots of big refunds that you weren't expecting. And because it's early in the year and we're trying to distract from whatever else might be going on in the world, and we're in the middle of tax season. Right. In case you guys were all wondering, we are filming this on January 8th. And so you can check the news as to what's going on. So if it was me and I was political, I would probably also be saying, hey, I'm getting a lot of big refunds. Make sure you file early. Make sure everything's together. And, I really don't believe that's fully how it's going to shake out. Will there be some increases? Possibly. I just don't think it's as big as the news is making it. And I don't want you going after your tax preparer and blaming them or blaming TurboTax or thinking that you missed something because yours isn't a very large refund. I don't think you did anything wrong.
Yeah. And first, let's just set the record straight on the file early piece because, we'll be honest that we had our first request for I want to file as soon as possible on, drumroll, January 2nd.
I got you beat. I have a lawyer who thought that we would have it done for his client by today. He thought that when he went to court today, he'd have a filed tax return.
Oh, okay. So
it's not going to happen, guys. Business returns are opening soon. So 1120Ss, C Corps. Why? Because those had less changes. Those had fewer form changes. They had fewer tax law changes, things like bonus depreciation. That doesn't take much for the software to update. So the IRS is saying, hey, we think we'll have that open here in a couple of weeks. They're also due earlier. And so it makes sense, right, that those will be done. Personal returns, last I heard, and I need to update it, my check, but as of this, last I heard, we were talking President's Day. So we're talking mid-February is when the IRS thinks that they will have all of their updates done, their computers ready to go, and they will open the floodgates for returns.
Which is normally, to put it in comparison, usually we look at them opening and being ready around January 28th-ish.
Yeah.
Towards the end of January. So it's pushed back a few weeks, which given the number of government shutdowns, tax bill change, I don't think we could have expected any less. And so to go into it thinking by January 8th, you would have a tax return filed, it's just not reality.
No, and it's not. And honestly, too, if you file something if you get the earned income tax credit, any of that, that always was delayed until mid-February. We don't even have investment forms until late February or March sometimes. But it's always funny to me when the IRS and everybody else is like, you can file now. Amendments are expensive and time, they cost time. Just sit on your hands. Just wait for all of those forms to come in.
Yes. So from a timing standpoint, just know that. So let's talk about what is changing in 2025 and a little bit of what's not.
Yeah, so things that I think would increase your refund, potentially. We did see wider tax brackets for inflation purposes. We saw a larger standard deduction. The SALT, the state and local income tax itemization came back. Not came back, but they removed the $10,000 cap. So there are chances here for additional deductions. The child tax credit increased a whole whopping $200. It was not much, but it's something. I don't think people in Congress know how expensive children are, in case you're listening. That was not enough. I need a few extra $1,000 there. And so overtime is the big one, and tips are the big one too, where you're seeing a lot of just rhetoric around how much more money. Well, first you have to be able to like explain it, that you had this, you have to show it. So you might have only ever given your W-2. We really do need pay stubs this year to figure out that overtime piece. If you never reported tips and you still don't report tips, you should report tips. But if you don't, you're not going to see that benefit. So this might not apply to you.
Yeah. And that is a piece to keep in mind is over time, we're talking tips. That means that for everybody else out there that's salaried, neither of those apply to you because you don't have those. And so all that, it's been taxed in the past, but now it won't be. Sorry, yours is all still the same.
Yeah. And if you're a business, yeah, we got bonus, but we knew we were getting bonus in June. So arguably your last two estimated tax payments should have been adjusted. So you shouldn't be super overpaid if you were tracking and paying attention to that. So again, you're just not going to see some huge return of your funds.
Yeah. So for the most of this is we're talking like, for lack of a better term, working class America. I don't know if there is a better way to say that, but it's W-2 earners that are going to see this. It's not the business owners. It's not, generally speaking, the people that are listening to this podcast looking for business tax advice.
Yeah. So yeah, don't go yelling when you don't get. The other thing I think to keep in mind too is our withholding tables had been changed a few years ago. And that was because they wanted you to have more money every year in your paycheck month to month. So what that led to was often people owing come tax time. So that might shift. You might not owe this year, but again, I don't think you're going to see a huge windfall. It's just been a shift of maybe just being a little more accurate and or it aligning better with your bracket, and your standard deduction is now making up for the fact that the withholding was like so close to the line, if not under the line, for the last few years.
Yeah. Let's dive into my favorite topic when it comes to taxes. Why a refund is not free money.
It's not.
It's not. Surprise. You're going to owe the same amount of tax regardless of whether the IRS got a interest-free loan from you for the whole year or you owe them at year end. So a refund, while it feels nice, the reality is that you should try to get your withholding in line throughout the year so that you owe around $0 at tax time and go invest that money that you would have gotten as a refund along the way. And now, congratulations, you're in a better place.
Exactly. I did a discovery call yesterday and my answer usually is I want to be plus or minus $1,000. Like ideally even closer, but we have to be realistic here. But $1,000 that you owe, you have that sitting in your bank in a high interest account. If you get $1,000 back, it didn't kill you on the interest to not have access to that fund all year.
Yep.
It's just what you don't want is to have paid $20,000 in Q1 of 2025 and you actually get that $20,000 back, but they kept it and you couldn't use it for your business. You couldn't use it at your home. You couldn't improve anything. Like whatever the case may be, W-2 or business owner, those refunds, that's just your money.
Yeah. The whole time, it was always your money.
And they don't pay you interest. One of these days, I think if they had to pay interest, we would see a huge shift in everything. Like I think refunds would become illegal if the government owed us interest.
Right. They'd be like, I don't know where to find that money. More debt.
You may not. You are not allowed anymore.
Yeah.
I think our whole tax system would change overnight if the government had to give us interest. Like, I think they'd find a way to like create the returns and file them for you and be as accurate as possible. Because there's no way they could pay all of working America interest.
Yeah. Yep. Nope. It's so true. It is so true. All right. So now let's talk a little bit to the business owners about the refund, right? Because a lot of people think that refunds are fun and they start thinking about how am I going to spend that. As a business owner, thinking about a big pot of cash coming back to you and planning for that.
Yeah.
Not the best cash plan, right?
No, because you could have hired somebody. Like, were you overworked this last year and then you get a big refund? Like, you could have used that to hire a contractor, an employee, invested in some tech, whatever the case may be. So when it comes back this year, Your plan is to figure out how not to make that happen again. So get some tax estimates running that are a little more accurate. Really plan out your business. Look at what the rest of the year looks like. Like I know Sean and I plan in August, but a lot of people are planning now. And if you're planning now, one of those discussions for what you think 2026 looks like is that revenue, and having that discussion with your tax person. Be like, I believe based on these contracts that are signed, based on this marketing plan I have, that this will be my revenue this year. That's what I want to pay to. And how is the best way to go about this? Like open up that discussion, send that email to your tax person. They may be like, cool, I'll get back to you when I'm preparing your return, but at least open that discussion if you don't have kind of a relationship like our clients have with us. If it's a little more one-offy, definitely talk to them while they're preparing your return.
Yeah, definitely. Because we want to make sure that you're making those estimated payments in line with what's going on in your business. Especially like I talked to someone today and they're like, yeah, this year is going to look a lot different from last year. It's like, okay, then we're going to make adjustments along the way so that we're not just assuming what we did last year worked from a tax standpoint.
Yeah. I mean, we've had clients of, big tax payments, right? And they're like, well, this year is not going to be last year. I don't want to use my savings to pay the tax bill. And it's so refreshing to know that we offer that service and we have that relationship for me to say, you don't have to. You're not going to. You're going to pay what is due based on what you're earning. And you're not earning last year's numbers. So we're not paying in last year's taxes.
Yep.
Not worth it.
Yep. Okay. So let's wrap this up as we all need to get back to tax season.
As your drive is coming to an end.
Yes. So don't let the news steer you wrong in thinking about your taxes. At the end of the day, when someone in the news or on TikTok or wherever, even though these reels are on social media, we are CPAs. If they are saying something that's making you feel a certain way about your taxes, go talk to your professional and get an idea of what's really going to happen. Don't let the news sway you from that standpoint. You might not get a big refund. Just put that in your mind and let's go control what we can control in our businesses and in our tax situation.
Yes, let's do it. We've got it. Make sure it's all working well. Have a great tax season, y'all, and we'll see you at the next episode.